Will the audience please stand? Thank you. You may be seated. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kathy Kluter. I'm from the Marketing and Communications Department, and I will be your program director for this afternoon. Without further ado, I would like to call on our Vice Chancellor, Professor Krishnan Hlapo, and he will formally welcome you here today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good to be here. Program Director, Ms. Cassie Klute, members of the executives that are here, deans of faculties, staff of CPUT, especially from the Faculty of Education, students and postgraduate members, the SRC leadership here present, and all protocol observed, or you're all protocoled. I was preparing for this welcoming, and I must actually say that it took me down the memory lane when I started at this institution. 2008, I started on Friday, it was actually February, Friday, the 1st, 2008. And I was given a mission to start a portfolio and a well-functioning portfolio of research and innovation. I was coming from the National Research Foundation. And I must say that I wanted to thank and acknowledge people who were there at the time, because I was given some sort of a leeway to build as fast as I could. And I was actually given the latitude to create the blueprint, the Research and Innovation Blueprint. That's why we used to call it RTIP. I'm sure it's still called. I'm actually saying this because the person that we are honoring here today, I met her during that particular time. If my memory serves me well, around 2007, Prof, you graduated here at this institution with your Doctor of Education. And I was very interested because this student now is a doctor. But she is also a person that I'm told that she's a hard worker. And the faculty saying, the dean of the time, Maureen Robinson, was actually saying, we want this person to be a research fellow. And she started as a research fellow. I will walk the corridors in Mowbray And this lady will be there. I can see, no, she's a research fellow. Then come 2006, if I were to go back a year earlier, the National Research Foundation, in partnership with the Department of Science and Technology at the time, they started a program of rolling out a number of research chairs. At the time, only 21, 2006-07, only 21 chairs were allocated to universities. We used to say UCT did well. They got 7 out of 21. They did exceptionally well. But we also did well as an institution because we got 2. One, and both of them were actually tier 1. One was a research chair in teacher education, and the other one was in satellite technology. So out of 21, we got 2, and then of course the other phase was still coming. I know there are institutions that didn't get anything. Others benefited in the second round. I'm telling you this story because as we speak now, she is the chairholder. Tier 1. Tier 1 is not to be sneezed at. It's not like a tier 2. It's actually talking to scholars. So I'm not surprised because way back then, I was told that the work ethics of this individual are second to none. Now, as I was putting policies and systems together, as an institution, we are very clear, especially around the Erasmus Mundus actions, the one that came to South Africa for the first time. CPUT was involved in 2 of them, being the coordinators this side. I'm talking about Imatusa, where the European side was University of Leuven. And Eurosa, it was CPUT, and the European side was the University of Antwerpen. And our eyes were on the prize. We wanted to develop a well-functioning research enterprise as quickly as possible. We are also aware of the clarion call by the Science and Technology White Paper of 1996, that when you talk about research, you also need to talk about innovation. The 2 are the twin concepts that goes hand in hand. And this was speaking to us as a University of Technology. And I'm mentioning that because this person who was a research fellow ended up playing a key role in producing a large number of PhDs and master students. That tells you a story where we come from. But I don't want to leave the question of research fellows, because even that culture then, it was something new. At times you'll be told that, no, we don't know these people, these postdocs, they are neither staff nor students, so this month they were not paid. And I'll be running around, supervisors chasing me to say, but the postdoc fellows, they haven't been paid. How do you deal with that? So I'm actually happy today that when I look back, I can look back with pride that we have people like Professor Chigona who are really punching way above their weight. I was also intrigued by the area of study. And it's something, Prof. Sheldon, that you must also look at. Around 2007, 2008, somewhere there, we were very strong as far as teaching with technology or digital pedagogy. I know there was something coming out of Fundani. I don't know what happened. There was a very strong, I don't want to name names, very strong group of young teachers who were actually saying, this is how we can embrace digital technology in a classroom. And I suspect that she's coming from that particular class. So, educational technology, teacher education, digital pedagogy, it was something that was actually known, that CPUT is very strong around that. I will be finishing now, ladies and gentlemen. I've got about 5 minutes, but I felt that I must share with you a couple of things. I'm going back to the whole question of being ADVC research, the first one, and having policies and systems together, and to try to standardize things around the campuses. There was something that has already been unique as far as education. When we were talking about the research coordinators in the faculties, because I was very interested, whoever is serving in the Faculty Research and Innovation Committee should be somebody who has walked the road, who has walked the walk. And somebody who's running Faculty Higher Degrees Committee, it cannot be anybody. We develop a document at a time to say, these are the requirements for a person to chair, and that person will be representing the faculty at the central committee. I'm happy to say Professor Chigona also assisted us a great deal, because there was a point where she was actually the person, the HOD of research in the faculty, because we were very selective. I remember there was a lady called Liz van Asbjergen, those who were here before, very pedantic. And the meeting of the research committee should be the meeting of the research committee. So I'm happy that, Prof, you played that particular role very well. I was not surprised when I hear my colleague saying she has been part of this in basic education. She's part of many ministerial task team. Professor Chigona, she's part of this task team and task team as far as basic education is concerned. As a teacher, I like that, because I'm a teacher by profession. We have to get teaching right. And she has been advising the minister around a number of issues. I must also say, I'm also happy that above all of this, when we are submitting our proposal to the National Research Foundation, that Professor Yusuf will not be coming here anymore, the chair has been reviewed, we have this candidate, Agnes Chigona. The NRF was unanimous. This is the candidate. They didn't say, no, this will be an interim, or this will be a tier 2. No, they said, this is a tier 1. The lady fit the profile. Well done, Prof. We are very, very proud of you. When I look at the road that he has traversed, this is my last point. A C1 NRF-rated researcher. That's something else. It means that she missed a B by a whisker. And the only thing that, Prof, we are asking, we are not asking much. You are a full professor now. We are only saying, can you be just our A-rated researcher? We are very close to that. You will be the very first A at CPUT, and I know you are capable. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Sit back and enjoy this presentation and feel at home, feel that you are welcome. And the responder, Professor Compton, please feel at home. I know that she is also a professor of digital technology. So we are looking forward to listen to how we can better our teachers. Thank you, Prof, and feel at home. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Vice-Chancellor, for that very warm and very informative words of welcome. Thank you so much for that. And next up, we are going to call on Professor Andile Mji, and he's the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, and he will read the citation of... Did I say engineering? I think it's the heat that's getting to me today. And it's written here education, but I'm reading engineering. Apologies for that, colleagues. It is the Faculty of Education. Professor Mji, you can come to the stage. Thank you.
He's called Suresh Ramsurup as the Dean of Engineering. Vice-Chancellor, it is an honor and a great pleasure to have to introduce one of the stalwarts in the Faculty of Education, and I'm proud to say in the university, Professor Agnes Chigona. I must greet everybody. I've started by speaking to the Vice-Chancellor, the members of the Management Committee, our invited respondent, Professor Crompton, the deans of other faculties. I see quite a lot of assistant deans from the Faculty of Education, the HODs, learning coordinators. You know, I'm so proud to see so much from the Faculty of Education. Thank you very much, colleagues, for honoring this august occasion. I know that we have quite a number of viewers on the electronic platforms, YouTube, and so on. Unfortunately, I never have a peek at YouTube, but I always know that it's there. Today, colleagues, is an auspicious occasion of the inaugural professorial address of Professor Agnes Chigona. Professor Chigona will be talking to the title of Harnessing Digital Pedagogies for Human Potential, a scholar's journey in transforming teacher education. Not a scholar's work, a journey in transforming teacher education. Now let me tell you about Professor Chigona. Professor Agnes Chigona, the NRF Sachi Chair Tier 1, as you've already heard, in teacher education, and the Director, Global Institute for Teacher Education and Society, stands as a beacon of academic excellence, a leader in educational transformation, and a scholar whose work continues to shape the future of teacher education, both locally and globally. She's a C1 rated researcher by the National Research Foundation and ranks among the top 40 education scientists in South Africa. She's right at the top, sir. Her journey in education began in Malawi, where she earned a Bachelor of Education degree from the University of Malawi in 1994. Her pursuit of knowledge and commitment to equity led her to the University of Waikato in New Zealand, where she obtained a graduate diploma in Women's and Gender Studies in 1997. She furthered her academic training in Germany, earning a Master of Arts in Education from Otto von Guericke University in Magdeburg in 2003, and culminated her formal education with a doctorate in education from the Cape Peninsula University of Technology, where it was 2007. Prof. Chigona's career spans over 3 decades, beginning as a secondary school teacher in Malawi's Ministry of Education, where she taught at Balaka and Likangala secondary schools from 1994 to 1999. Her transition into higher education and research was marked by a postdoctoral fellowship at the University of Cape Town, where she contributed to the Swiss-South Africa joint research project called MELISA, focusing on measuring e-learning impact in disadvantaged schools. Her research interests are educational technology, teacher education, and digital pedagogy. In 2011, she joined CPUT as a research fellow, and by 2017, through ad hominem promotions, she had risen to the rank of associate professor in the Faculty of Education. From 2017 to 2020, Prof. Chigona served as the Deputy Director of the Center for International Teacher Education, a prestigious NRF Sachi Tier 1 initiative, where she led research development, postgraduate supervision, and international collaboration. In 2021, Professor Chigona was appointed Head of Research and Postgraduate Studies in the Faculty of Education, a role she held with distinction, I can confirm that, Prof. Chigona, until the end of 2025. In this capacity, she provided strategic leadership in research and postgraduate education, supervised doctoral and master's students, and mentored postdoctoral fellows and academic staff. Her responsibilities included chairing the Faculty Research Committee and the Faculty Higher Degrees Committee, managing research budgets, coordinating funding allocations, and reporting to institutional governance structures such as the Senate Higher Degrees Committee and the Senate Research and Innovation Committee. In August 2025, Prof. Chigona was appointed the NRF Sachi Chair Tier 1 in Teacher Education and Director of the newly established Global Institute for Teacher Education and Society, a role that reflects her stature as a thought leader in the field. Her research portfolio is both expansive and impactful. She has published over 90 peer-reviewed articles, presented more than 25 conference presentations and papers, and contributed to numerous books and chapters. To date, she has supervised 12 masters and 13 doctoral candidates to completion. Her research work has earned her a place among the top 40 education scientists in South Africa as ranked by the AD Scientific Index. Her research leadership is marked by securing multi-million rand funding for projects that address technology integration in education, cybersecurity for educators, and international comparative studies. She is the principal investigator on a South African-Japan joint project. Some of the research funding secured include a 1.7 million from the NRF for a project on digital technology integration in teacher education, 1.2 million for ongoing research initiatives, and 1.8 million for South Africa, Japan collaborative projects on technological and pedagogical content knowledge. In 2025, she secured 1.6 million for the Cybersecurity for Teachers project. Her international collaborations span institutions such as the Old Dominion, which is where Professor Crompton comes from, in the USA, the University of Wolverhampton, and Cambridge University in Britain, Hiroshima and Osaka universities in Japan. Her national contributions include serving on the Department of Basic Education's Ministerial Task Team, investigating the Mathematics, Science, and Technology Strategy, and leading the Reading and Writing Journal as editor-in-chief from 2012 to 2017, during which time the journal achieved the Department of Higher Education and Training accreditation. She has held leadership roles in society, in the information technology and teacher education, co-chairing both the international perspectives and African perspectives. Special interest groups, and African perspective special interest groups. From 2018 to 2022, she served as a panelist member of the NRF Education Specialist Committee, where she later served as convener until 2024. Prof. Chigona's excellence has been recognized globally. In fact, in 2022, she was named one of UNESCO Netexplo Observatory 100 female global role models in digital technology. She was a nominee for the Higher Education Women Leaders Award in 2023 and a successful participant in the HELSA Academy in 2024. Throughout her career, Prof. Chigona has remained committed to learning, lifting others, and leading with purpose. Her dedication to research, teaching, and mentorship continues to inspire a generation of scholars and educators. Her legacy is one of transformation, innovation, and unwavering commitment to the advancement of education. Today, Prof. Chigona is joined by her wonderful husband, Prof. Wallace Chigona, and her son, Thandizo Chigona. And we are aware that Linga is watching you on YouTube. He'll be watching you. His adverts, unfortunately, he could not be here. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Professor Agnes Chigona.
So I came prepared. I knew it was hot. I brought it fast. Program Director, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, family and friends, good afternoon. So before I begin my address, I would like to start by expressing my sincere acknowledgement. It is with immense joy and deep humility that I stand before you today on this special occasion. This celebration means so much to me, and I am profoundly grateful to share it with everybody present here and online. Thank you all for being part of this moment. It is my honor to invite you all to my inaugural lecture as I step fully into the world of professorship. This achievement reflects the highest point of my academic journey, a time to rejoice, to reflect on steps that brought me this stage, and also to look forward to new intellectual adventures. This afternoon, I invite you to join me as I share my research journey about technology integration in education. I wish to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to the university leadership for their unwavering support and dedication to academic excellency. Vice Chancellor, Professor Christian Schlapp, Professor Marshall Sheldon, thank you for entrusting me with the leadership of the such chair in teacher education and guides. Your support has been invaluable. Thank you. Professor Mg, the Dean of the Faculty of Education, my Dean. I sincerely thank you for your support and believe in the work I do. Thank you for walking this journey with me. Thank you, Prof. Professor Wallace Chigona, my husband, you can wave. Thank you for your unwavering support and for mentoring me into ICT4D research that shaped me into the EdTech researcher I am today. Zema Tanzunga. Professor Janet Kondi, your friendship and academic guidance over the years have been a source of strength. I'm deeply grateful. Thank you. I don't know if my supervisor is here, my PhD supervisor. But my PhD supervisor was Professor Rajendra Chetty. And I would like to thank him for believing in me and for mentoring me in research and academic life. The National Research Foundation, I appreciate the funding opportunities that enabled me to grow as a researcher and build international collaborations. My sons, Linga Tandizo, your brother is not here, you can tell your brother, who is online. I want to thank you my boys, for the philosophical debates about digital technologies that inspired deep reflection. Thank you, guys. My mom and dad, and all my siblings, thank you for instilling in me a deep sense of hard work and responsibility. My esteemed colleagues within the Faculty of Education and across CPUT, as well as those from other universities, thank you for your collegiality, encouragement, and shared pursuit of academic excellency. My extended family, and friends, your presence here today fills me with immeasurable gratitude. Thank you for standing by me and celebrating this milestone together. Finally, I express my heartfelt thanks to every individual within the CPUT community who has touched my life and contributed to this momentous occasion. Your support and goodwill have been invaluable, and I remain deeply appreciative. Okay, so now I would like to, the Dean has already read the title of my presentation, Harnessing Pedagogies for Human Potential, a scholar's journey in transforming teacher education. Okay, so I'm done with the acknowledgements, and I want to take you through my personal background and early life. So, I was born in a large and loving family of 13 children. Yes, you heard me right, 13 children. From the same mom, same dad. And I was the 7th born. Yes, it was 13. Enough for a soccer team, plus a referee and the guy on the VAR. And just the sisters were enough for a netball team. We were 7. But of course, I have a twin brother. So I think by then, yeah, that's me and my twin brother. I think I was 7 years that time. So growing up in such a big household meant that I learned the values of sharing, cooperation, and responsibility from an early age. So my childhood unfolded in the tea estate plantations in Mulanje in Malawi, where my father worked as a tea estate manager. And my parents, those are my parents, that's my mom and dad, and there is my dad. I think that was when I was graduating with my doctorate in Cape Town. So my parents, who have since passed on, my parents passed on in 2012. Within a space of 5 months, I lost both parents. But they created an environment where discipline, hard work, and community spirit were not only encouraged, but embedded into our daily lives. And these values would later influence my worldview and the way I approached both personal and academic challenges. So, life on the tea estates offered a unique combination of structure, routine, and exposure to close-knit communities of workers and their families. I spent much of my early years observing how people in the tea estate worked diligently day after day. And this instilled in me a strong sense of commitment and perseverance. These skills, soft skills, have seen me through up to date. The natural beauty of Mulanje Mountain, surrounded by the lush green plantations, also gave me a deep appreciation of nature and the environment I grew up in. So reflecting on those formative years, I recognize that being part of a large family taught me leadership, empathy, and resilience. the qualities that have shaped my personal and professional journey. The tea estate's upbringing grounded in me humility and strengthened my determination to pursue education as a pathway to creating positive change. These early experiences laid the foundation for the woman I would become, influencing my aspirations, values, and passion for education that has guided me throughout my life. So that was about the family I'm coming from, that large family, that large loving family. And now I have my own family. So there we have, there I am with our two boys, Linga and Tandizo. And then there it's, I call all of these my boys. Okay, and there is when we were young, both our children and the parents were both young. And there we were both adults. Both the children and the parents are adults. So my family, you have been the foundation that made this professorship possible. I must brag, I have the social capital from home. And you are my greatest companions. You know what? I would choose you over and over again. You are nice guys. I like you. Okay, so from the primary school in the tea plantations, I was selected to St. Mary's Secondary School, one of the prestigious boarding secondary schools in Malawi. The school emphasized academic rigor and critical thinking, fostering a strong appreciation for education. And the boarding school environment actually reinforced the discipline and responsibility, the values I learned from my large family and the tea estate upbringing. And these, have seen me over and over and over in my life. So from St. Mary's Secondary School, I was selected to the University of Malawi, where I did my bachelor's degree in education. Then I moved to Waikato, University of Waikato in New Zealand, where I did my graduate diploma in gender studies. And then in 2001, I enrolled for a master's degree in education at the Otto von Guericke University, Magdeburg in Germany. There is a story here. So I completed the master's degree, but it was not easy. It was not easy in the sense that I had to do the program in German language. When I was going to German, I knew no German word. I spent 1 full year learning the German language. And actually, I could only be enrolled into the master's program if I had passed the language course, which of course I did. Yeah, those of you who know the German language, the grammar is not easy. It's difficult. But those skills, soft skills I learned from my family, and that, the Tea Estate upbringing kept me going. The resilience and persistence. After completing the course, the language course, I enrolled into the master's, and the master's was half coursework, half thesis. The coursework had to be completed in German language. And so for me to complete an assignment, I needed 3 different dictionaries in front of me. The English dictionary, because I learned this German language based on the English language, which is not my mother tongue. And then I needed the dictionary, the English-German dictionary, so that I can translate that what I know in English into German. And also now look at that word I think I'm translating into from English to German. In German, does it really mean that? So I had to use 3 dictionaries for me to complete one assignment. So an assignment which could take my colleagues 1 hour, it took me 3-4 hours. But yes, I persevered, and I completed the degree. And I completed the degree on time. But one thing I am very thankful to my supervisor then, Professor Potts, is that he looked at me and said, "Oh, poor Agnes, you can write your thesis in English." Oh, that was the day I would never forget. So I was allowed to write my main thesis in English. Okay, so then in 2005, I enrolled for a doctorate at CPUT, which I also completed within the minimum time required. In 2007, I enrolled, February 2005, 2007, out. Okay, so that was about my tertiary education. Now, let me take you through my lecture today, which is, the title is, we have already read the title, but I want to stress to say that education is the heartbeat of every society. We all know this. And in the 21st century, technology is its accelerating force. This is why digital pedagogies are important. So, what do I mean by harnessing digital pedagogies for potential, for human potential? It means intentionally using technology-driven teaching methods to unlock, maximize, and support the growth of individuals' capabilities, talents, and skills. So it's a shift. It shifts the focus from simply using technology to enhance efficiency. It's not just about enhancing efficiency, but using it as a transformative tool that empowers learners, with critical thinking skills, collaboration skills, and communication and creativity. And we know these skills, everybody in this 21st century must have these skills. If you don't have these skills, you cannot survive in this 21st century, in this digital age. So these are the basics, which also we expect our teachers to empower our learners with these skills. So my research journey in educational technology. My research journey in education technology is not just about devices or platforms. It is about possibilities. Possibilities for equity, possibilities for creativity, and equipping teachers to prepare learners to thrive in a rapidly changing world. This is a story of how technology, when thoughtfully applied, becomes a bridge to opportunity and a catalyst for human potential. So I'm trying to take you through my research. So from 2009, I was a postdoctoral fellow on this project, the Measuring E-Learning Impact in Schools in South Africa. And the focus of the project was ICT adoption in schools. But at the same time, there was also the Kanya project going on. Those of you who do not know the Kanya project was the Western Cape Education Department initiative that was launched in 2001, and I think it ended in 2012. The aim was to improve teaching and learning through ICTs. And so the Kanya project focused on deploying or installing computer labs in schools, in all public schools in the Western Cape. Actually, by the time I was learning about the Kanya project, they had already deployed technologies to 1,500 public schools in the Western Cape. So the Kanya project did a very good job in terms of deploying the technologies in schools. They were also responsible for training the educators to use the technologies for the teaching and learning, but the training wasn't effective. As a result, most of the computer labs remain locked. Most of the computer labs, the technologies deployed in schools were just gathering dust, ending up being white elephants. The problem was the training was not effective. The teachers were being trained, but they were not trained on how they could integrate the technology into their pedagogies. So that was a good ground for me for research. So I published a lot of papers from that. Then in 2012, I worked, we had a project. We applied for NRF funding for the digital storytelling project. And this project I completed with Professor Kondi. In 2014, I applied for a check funding for a project to prepare pre-service teachers for ICT integration. And so what I'm saying that all these projects were trying to see why is it that technology is there, but why is it that the teachers are not using the technologies for the teaching and learning? So in most cases, the teachers were still using their traditional teaching. And so when you are doing about traditional teaching and then you say you just took the technology into that traditional teaching methods, it doesn't work. You will not be able to have the effective learning outcomes. We know that in the traditional teaching, one would be considered an effective teacher if you have the pedagogical content knowledge. Well, what you needed was just these three knowledges: the pedagogical knowledge, the content knowledge, and the pedagogical content knowledge. Of which, when it comes to integrating technology or teaching now in this 21st century, you need to adopt the digital pedagogies. And for you to be able to teach with the technologies effectively, you need to have, I would say there are 7 types of knowledges there. Here, and here you have got only 3. There you have got 7 knowledge. And for you to teach effectively with the technology, you need to have all those knowledges in place. In 2015, I acquired another funding from Czech, and this was about ICT uptake and integration by teachers and the Western Cape education officials. These officials were the subject advisors. So the findings from this project were that the subject advisors lacked confidence in ICT integration, and the teachers also lacked the digital fluency. But now they could have asked the subject advisors to assist them to be able to teach with the technologies, but the subject advisors themselves did not have the confidence to integrate the technologies. Therefore, there was nobody to help who. So the teachers needed subject-specific training, because like what the Kenya was doing, the training of for technology integration, they would take all the teachers and train them the same way. You would take the mathematics teacher, a history teacher, and you train them the same way. Those who are teachers, they know the pedagogy for mathematics cannot be the same for history. And so the teachers needed the subject-specific training in that regard. From that research, there were a number of journals and conferences attended. And in 2019, I had the initial teacher education for the realities of the 21st century classroom. This was an NRF grant, which was about 1.7 million. And the aim was to prepare teachers for 21st century classrooms, trying to address the persistent mismatch between the teacher education and the digital classroom realities. So in terms of the project outputs, this project, we designed and developed a curriculum which has already been adopted by Rhodes, UCT, and of course CPUT for technology integration. And we had a number of masters and students also graduating from that project. Then in 2022, we had a project preparing teachers for marginalized context. This project came about because of what happened during the COVID-19 pandemic. What happened during the COVID-19 pandemic was that the learners in the affluent communities were able to continue with their teaching and learning, whilst those from the less affluent communities, they weren't able to continue with the teaching and learning. And when we look into it, we could see that the problem was not that there were no technologies in the less affluent communities, because the smartphones were there. There was a lot of fake news, going around on WhatsApp, Facebook. So the technologies were there, just that the teachers did not have the skill on how to integrate those mobile technologies or the affordable digital technologies into their teaching and learning. So this project was to address that. Because when we're training our teachers in the teacher education, we don't think about, yes, we have other teachers who will be teaching in the less affluent communities, and therefore we should take into consideration also the mobile technologies. So this was a deliberate, move to ensure how we can integrate the mobile technologies for teaching in the rural and the marginalized communities. And now in 2023, I had the South African-Japan bilateral project. This was a comparative study of the technology pedagogical content knowledge in teacher education in South Africa and in Japan. So with the funding, we were funded about 1.8 million, and that funding allowed us to travel the whole Japan. Yes. And the Japanese were also here. They also traveled around South Africa. But what the most important thing I learned from Japan was how they used technology to teach in the mid-grade classrooms. And in this case, it was like you would have a class, say, in Bevo, whereby there is no mathematics teacher, but the best mathematics teacher maybe is in Gauteng. And then you could connect, whilst the teacher is teaching in his class in Gauteng, could connect with the learners and their teacher in classroom, in Bevo. I thought that was something we need to also, we can use, because we don't have many mathematics teachers. We have, many schools, not, the learners not having the qualified mathematics teachers. So if the few teachers we have, if we can connect the schools or the classrooms to be taught by an experienced math teacher in that way. Now in 2025, I got another grant, 1.6 million from the NRF. And the aim of this was to integrate cybersecurity awareness into digital pedagogies. And this was particularly for the marginalized communities, because we know now that's where, the learners and teachers are using the mobile technologies. And we have seen increasing cyber attacks on schools. So this project was to make the teachers aware when they are integrating the technology in their teaching and learning, that they should be aware and that they protect themselves and also protect their learners. Now the overall impact of the research I have done since 2009, that's about a decade and a half. We have had scholarly impact. We have made the scholarly impact, the policy and practice impact, and capacity building. We have graduated a number of students, and so this is just to give you the impact we have had from the research I have been doing since 2009. In terms of publications, I have 46 peer-reviewed journal articles, 35 conference proceedings, and 10 book and book chapters. In terms of the postgraduate students graduated, in total I have 27. By the way, when the VC was reading, the number has been revised because I've got students graduating this coming graduation. So, yes, I've graduated 13 doctoral students and 14 master's students. Now, the next 5 years. So, as a research chair, Tier 1 in teacher education, and the director for the Global Institute for Teacher Education and Society, I commit to a technology-first, pedagogy-led agenda that equips teachers to lead learning with integrity, equity, and innovation. So we have the research project within the chair. We have 4 streams of research. The first one is about quality teachers for equitable and tech-enabled teacher education. The second one will look into the continuous profession development and the continuous profession development that is digital and inclusive. The third one is about progressive education, digital citizenship, and justice. And the fourth one will have to look at what works in digital teaching and learning. We need to learn from that. So now in terms of the vision and call to action, my vision is to build a digitally fluent, ethical, and globally connected teaching profession. We need teachers to be able to guide students in understanding privacy, identity, and justice. That's for the ethical consciousness in education. And the global partnerships, we need to collaborate with international partners to help shape the culturally responsive digital pedagogy through knowledge and exchange and joint research. In terms of call to action, ultimately the call to action is clear. We must turn research into practice, innovation into inclusion, and technology possibilities into human potential. Teacher education must equip teachers with digital pedagogies so that they can be effective teachers in the 21st century. With effective digital pedagogy, classrooms can become spaces of possibility for every learner. So in conclusion, We need quality teaching for quality education for all. But for us to have this quality teaching, we have to train our teachers in a way that they are able to provide that quality teaching so that all the learners also get the quality education. So by working collectively, scholars, policymakers, educators, and communities, we can ensure that teacher education becomes a powerful catalyst for equitable, transformative, and future-ready teaching profession. We need to publish, we need to make sure we disseminate the knowledge we get from the research, that research is turned into practice. When I talk about publication, and as I conclude, I would also like to express my gratitude for opportunity to share my journey and contributions to mark this moment. It is my honor to present one of my recent books, my recent book project, to the Vice Chancellor. So may I would like to invite my son, Thandizo Chigona, to come to the stage to present the book to the VC. Thank you. And that was my last slide. Thank you for the attention. Thank you.
Wow. Who would have thought? Can you imagine a young girl running in a tea plantation, watching people picking up leaves? And then it's March 2026. She's presenting a book to the Vice Chancellor. What a journey, Prof. Chigona. What a journey. Wonderful, wonderful journey. I have Prof. Crompton. I'm proud to have met her. It's not the first time she's visiting our university and our faculty. She's a regular in the faculty. Actually, I thought she wouldn't even remember me. She said, I know you, Prof. So, it was so wonderful to meet you again, and it's great to have you again in South Africa. She's got a big, big CV, colleagues. I had to, unfortunately, remove some of the material that's in the CV. And colleagues can go to the university's website and get the rest of your CV. But I'm proud to present the respondent VC, Professor Helen Crompton, who is the Executive Director of the Research Institute for Digital Innovation in Learning and Professor of Instructional Technology at Old Dominion University. Professor Crompton earned her PhD in Educational Technology and Mathematics Education from the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Recognized for her outstanding contributions, Professor Crompton is on Stanford's esteemed list of the top 2% of scientists in the world. In artificial intelligence. That is why I'm saying I'm very proud that she's associated with our faculty. She has published over 250 papers, and her work in technology integration has garnered her numerous accolades, including the SCHEV Award for the Outstanding Professor in Virginia. Professor Crompton's expertise extends beyond academia to practice, as she frequently serves as a consultant for various governments, bilateral and multilateral organizations such as the United Nations and the World Bank, leveraging her knowledge and experience to drive meaningful change in the field of education technology. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Crompton.
Professor Chigona, thank you for the privilege of serving as your respondent today. It is both an honor and a joy. I would like to begin by acknowledging the remarkable lecture we've just heard and the extraordinary scholarly journey that underpins it. Your inaugural lecture, Harnessing Digital Pedagogies for Human Potential, A Scholar's Journey in Transforming Teacher Education, is not only a reflection on an individual career, it's a blueprint for a field. It tells a story of what it means to lead with purpose in times of disruption, complexity, and possibility. I first met Agnes when we were invited to the same conversations virtually across time zones, grappling with urgent questions about digital transformation, equity, and the preparation of teachers with uncertain futures. What struck me immediately was this: although we come from different parts of the world, our work carried the same thread: a deep commitment to supporting educators so that they can best meet the needs of their students. A belief that technology must never be an end into itself, but a means for human flourishing. Today's lecture made that commitment unmistakably clear. After that very first meeting I had with Professor Chigona, I contacted her after the meeting to see how I could work with this remarkable scholar. Our work went from online to in person. It was great to meet the Professor Chigona actually in person. Professor Chigona has worked consistently centered on one critical insight: technology integration. Technology integration is not about devices, it's about pedagogy, identity, and justice. As you reminded us through your sustained engagement with TPAC, frameworks such as TPAC, effective technology integration demands more than technological competence. It requires teachers to understand the dynamic relationship between content, pedagogy, and technology. That foundational insight rooted in their work of TPAC has been operationalized in your scholarship across more than a decade of projects, publications, and funded initiatives. Yet what distinguishes your contribution is that you have not treated TPAC as a static theory. You have contextualized it. You have tested it in disadvantaged communities. You have examined it in rural schools, in multi-grade classrooms, during pandemic lockdowns, and now in the generative AI era. In doing so, you have demonstrated that frameworks must be lived, adapted, and sometimes expanded in response to real-world conditions. Your 2019 project on initial teacher education for the realities of 21st century classrooms and that subsequent development of the Contis model represent that applied scholarship at its best. You did not simply diagnose a problem, you designed an intervention, you implemented a curriculum, you studied its impact, and perhaps most importantly, you ensured its adoption across institutions. That is scholarship with reach. As part of her work on technology integration, Professor Chigona and I also developed frameworks, such as this one. This is the SETI framework, the Social Ecological Technology Integration. And at the heart of that is the educator and how the systems around the educator can best meet the needs of the students. So the center there has wrapped around it the orange, the school system that they're in, the blue, the school, larger school system, and then the national context. And that meso system reminds them that there's things interconnected throughout those. But the idea is it's not just about having the technology, it's about having all those other pieces from training, tech support, policies, and then thinking about nationally, putting it in context. Now, your recent work regarding cybersecurity in pre-service teacher education reflects intellectual courage. Many scholars stop at digital pedagogy. You moved into a terrain of digital risk, algorithm systems, and generative AI. You're asking not only how teachers integrate technology, but how they do so safely, ethically, and with critical awareness. In a moment where educational institutions globally are confronting data vulnerabilities, cyber threats, and AI-related disruptions, this work is both timely and necessary. There is a deeper thought line through your lecture that deserves recognition. Your scholarship is not merely about competence. It's about dignity. From your early work on girls, education, and teen mothers, to digital storytelling as a vehicle to voice, to mobile-mediated teaching in marginalized communities, you have constantly centered those at the margins. Technology in your research is a bridge to participation, a bridge to identity formation, a bridge to possibility. I was particularly struck by your recollections on multi-grade classrooms in Japan and the potential at work. You do not romanticize global models, nor do you see them uncritically. Instead, you observe, analyze, and then ask how lessons may transfer across contexts. This is comparative education with integrity. Your international collaborations further illustrate that global-local dynamic. From Swiss-South African partnerships to Japan-South African bilateral educations and exchanges, from UNESCO consultation to EdTech Hub research funded by the World Bank and the UK aid. You position African scholarship within global conversations, not as a peripheral, but as essential. That matters. It also matters that your research leadership extends beyond your own publications. The numbers are impressive. Over 90 articles, major grants, doctoral completions, international recognition. Beyond the published work, the legacy is in the scholars you have mentored, the staff you have coached into funding success, the doctoral students you now carry forward strands of your work. Leadership at the Tier 1 level is not about accumulation, it's about cultivation. Looking ahead at your articulated 5-year agenda, I see coherence and ambition. The 4 streams that you outlined, quality teachers, inclusive and digital citizenship, and evidence on what works together form an integrated strategy. They recognize that teacher education operates across systems, policy, practice, community, and global economy. Your influence and your emphasis on AI literacy is especially important. Across the world, we are witnessing 2 parallel narratives on artificial intelligence in education. One is utopian, the other is dystopian. Your approach is neither. It is disciplined, pedagogy first, equity by design, ethics always. Your framing reflects a maturity in the field. It acknowledges possibility without abandoning responsibility. Finally, I want to return to where I began with Professor Chigona when we sat in that United Nations discussion years ago. We both recognized something. Our contexts differ, our institutions differ, our histories differ, yet the challenges teachers face, inequity, rapid technology change, shifting policy landscapes, are strikingly similar. Your lecture reminds us today that solutions too can be shared, adapted and strengthened through collaboration. Your journey from Malawi to New Zealand to Germany to South Africa, from secondary school teacher to Tier 1 chair, embodies the very global connectivity your research promotes. But more than that, it embodies steadfast commitment to teachers, commitment to learners, commitment to justice in a digital age. Dr. Chigona, on behalf of colleagues and partners across continents, I congratulate you. Your work has shaped the field, your leadership will continue to do so, and your vision of teaching profession that is digitally fluent, ethically grounded, and socially just is not just compelling, it is necessary. Thank you, Professor Chigona, for your scholarship, your leadership, and your example.
Thank you so much, Professor Crumpton. Thank you very much for taking us through this journey of global conversations. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate your presence here today. As the Dean of Education, Professor Magee, as he mentioned earlier, that she came all the way from Virginia to be here today, and that's quite an honor. Colleagues, we've almost come to the end of the formal proceedings of today. And I think with Professor Chigona's presentation as well, I think VC, the A is on its way. I think so. That A is on its way. I would like to call on Professor Marshall Sheldon. She's the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research, Technology, Innovation and Partnerships, and she will do the acknowledgement and the closure for us today. Thank you, Professor Sheldon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, as we draw this very, very memorable occasion to a close, it's my privilege to give a few words of acknowledgement and thank you to everybody that made this event today such a huge success on behalf of the CPUT management. But before I start with the acknowledgements, this is the second of 4 inaugural addresses for 2026. And before we entered the venue, I had a conversation with our respondent, Professor Crumpton. And she was acknowledging the institution for having an occasion like this where we, celebrate somebody becoming a full professor, because if you don't mind, Prof, to share that you indicated your university doesn't do that. So I said, well, this is what we do, because, and I shared it earlier today as well, in the life, and for your sake, Prof, of a university, there's first 2 things that's a highlight. One is installing our chancellor, and the other one is installing our vice chancellor. But in an academic year, and as academics, there are, for me, really as an academic, 2 things that stand out. That's when we celebrate our students during graduation, and inaugural addresses in celebrating our academics as today. So just to give you an indication as to why and what we do as a university. And it provides us with an opportunity not only to celebrate the scholar of the day, but it also allows us an opportunity to reflect as an institution in terms of the collective contribution that we're making, not only locally, not only nationally, but also internationally. And it also allows us to look at the journey of transforming and translating our output into outcomes and impact. So for me, this is an absolute highlight of the academic year. So colleagues, let me then go to the acknowledgements and start with asking you to join me in welcoming Professor Chigona. You've been a professor, I think, for almost a year, but this is the official occasion where we're celebrating you today and welcoming her to the full Professorial of CPUT. Prof, your lecture today has provided a very compelling and equally inspiring explorative journey in digital pedagogies. Thank you for sharing your journey with us, the transformation that you've tried to demonstrate and the impact that you've tried to make in teacher education. The journey that you've shared clearly
showed your dedication, your unwavering commitment, and it serves as a beacon for all of us, even us outside of teacher education. It reminds us of the profound impact that your research can and has shown to make and will continue to make within teacher education. And it was also very clear that that dedication and that commitment and that hard work and that perseverance come from that very large family that you were born into. So thank you very much, Prof, for sharing that journey with us. Then to our Vice-Chancellor and Principal, Professor Nhlapo, not only for opening the inaugural address for us today and sharing your experience and journey with Professor Chigona, but also for the continued leadership that you provide to us as an institution, to us as scholars, and your unwavering commitment to academic excellence, research, and innovation. To the Dean of the Faculty, Professor Mji, firstly, thank you for introducing both our professor for the day and the respondent. But more importantly, thank you to you, your leadership, your management within the faculty, and all the colleagues from the faculty for creating that conducive environment for academics to do and get to the point where Professor Chigona is today. So we also want to extend our acknowledgement and our appreciation to the faculty for creating that environment.
Professor Crumpton, thank you again for flying all the way from the US to
share with us the journey that you have had with Professor Chigona, starting in the digital space, and I think that's so apt considering we were talking about digital pedagogies today, to joining us here at CPUT, not only today, but the Dean has acknowledged the contributions that you've made to the faculty, and Prof. Chigona has demonstrated the contribution that you have made. So we thank you for what you've done so far, and from what I've heard, I can see there's a journey going forward, so I want to thank you then for the continued contributions you're going to make, not only to Prof. Chigona, but to the faculty and the institution. Prof. Chigona, it's very rare that a journey like this is a solitary endeavor. You know, we said outside, it takes a village. So I also want to use the opportunity then to acknowledge everybody that is here today, the whole scholarly community, all the colleagues, all the collaborators, all the partners, all the funders, all the students that have made a contribution in whatever shape or form to Prof. Chigona's journey. Thank you so much to all of you. To Professor Chigona's family, thank you for taking the time to join us today. The husband, the son that is here physically, that handed over the book to the VC, and the son that is online. I hope I didn't cut him off when I closed the laptop. Yeah. But thank you for the support that you've given to Professor Chigona during this journey. It was very obvious during her inaugural address. We acknowledge you and we thank you. And then, colleagues, I think you will agree with me that an event like this takes a whole range of an organizing team. So I want to thank the organizing team that has made this event today a success. Our Marketing and Communications Department, Kathy, under the leadership of Dr. Van Gensen, and the whole team behind you, Kathy, that we don't see that we know work so diligently behind the scenes. Our people in protection services, property services, medical care services, our technical support whom I'm hoping is still continuing to live stream this. Thank you to all of you for working so diligently behind the scenes to ensure that this event this afternoon was such a huge success. We appreciate you.
Professor Chigona, so I'm going to come back and circle back to you. Once again, congratulations. Well done on achieving this milestone. We see you, we acknowledge you, we celebrate you. And as you've indicated, we look forward to the 5 years that you've articulated through the 4 streams and the contributions that you will continue to make, not only to CPUT, but to the rest of South Africa and the impact that you're going to make in society. All the best with the journey ahead. With that, I say thank you, Baie dankie, Inkosi kakhulu. Please do join us outside for some refreshments.
Thank you very much to you as well, Prof. Sheldon, for doing the acknowledgements and the thank you for us today. Thank you, and let's give Prof. Sheldon a hand, please. Yes, Prof. Sheldon, I think her son is still online because I can confirm that we have 84 people watching as well. So all the international guests as well, they're all watching. Colleagues and friends and family, we have come to the end of the formal proceedings. We do have photo opportunities in the foyer as well. Prof. Chigona will be there and we will be able to take pictures with her. We also have her inaugural booklet that we would like to gift each guest here today. There is a table outside, just when you get to the door, please grab one. And that is your gift from Prof. Chigona to you. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. And as Prof. Sheldon has mentioned earlier, there will be some refreshments outside as well to enjoy. So with that, I would like the audience to please stand. Thank you.